One of the biggest complaints I had with last week's film was that it was too long, and without wishing to give away the entire point of this review in the first opening paragraph, the opposite is true of this film. So, we're moving from one genre back to another, and encountering another giant of silent cinema. This week, Buster Keaton in 1924's Sherlock Jr. As with Charlie Chaplin's The Kid, I went into Sherlock Jr. wanting more than just the comedy of the film to hold up. For one, it is difficult to judge a comedy on whether it is good or not, as different people have different senses of humour. The thing about the work of Chaplin and Keaton, however, is that their work was made to appeal to a large audience of all ages. And while trends and styles can change easily and quickly, the work of these silent cinema masters was built to stand the test of time. While certain jokes or characters may not age particularly well, silent comedy has to rely on slapstick and more obvious visual cues. The important thing about this is that the film doesn't have to explain itself. What happens is funny because it looks funny, or happens in a funny circumstance. When a character ends up sitting on a motorbike's handlebars for half a journey across town, only to discover that no one is actually driving the bike, the situation is hilarious. This is helped by the character's expression of both shock and recognition, as if this same thing has happened to them 100 times before. As previously stated, it was important for more than just the comedy to grab me in this film, as I was working on the assumption that if the comedy didn't win me over, then there better at least be a decent plot or characters to keep me interested. Luckily, this was the case, to an extent, and I fell in love with the smarter-than-average yet accident-prone detective, his loyal sidekick, and his engaging love interest. What I wasn't expecting, however, was for the majority of the film to take place within another film entirely. As the film starts, Keaton is studying to become a detective whilst working in a cinema. When he ends up framed for a crime he didn't commit, instead of solving the crime, as one might expect, he returns to his job at the cinema and daydreams about being a heroic movie detective, based very strongly on Sherlock Holmes. From there, he engages in an elaborate comedy based on him climbing into the cinema screen itself and then being his own personal hero. The film is undoubtedly sweet and light-hearted, and certainly keeps me interested, but this was in part due to the fact that I never had a chance to become disinterested. While preparing the film for release, Keaton discovered the audience found the film to be too long, and ended up cutting it down to under an hour. Personally, I want to know what was cut, as it doesn't seem that whatever it was particularly important. The film is polished down to a mirror shine, with nothing really working out of place. My best guess is that it was something related to the characters in the real world of the movie that was removed, as it seems that more was built up than for the film to abruptly end after a secondary plotline has wrapped up. It felt a bit like if The Wizard of Oz had spent an entire third of its runtime on a Kansas storyline before anyone travels to Oz, and, after establishing that a very important story is in progress, Dorothy goes to sleep and begins her Oz travels, and then the film ends while she's still there. I didn't hate it in any way, yet perhaps, without detracting from everything that had already been accomplished so well, the film could have devoted a little bit more time to tying up its own loose ends. At the end of the day, though, it's still worth a watch. 3 out of 5 stars. Watch it.